All right, so Demar Derozan ended up going to the Sacramento Kings. It is a sign and trade where, as you can see, it says the Sacramento Kings are agreeing on a sign and trade to land Demar Derozan on a 3-year deal. Send Harrison Barnes to the Spurs, Chris Duarte, and 2 second-round picks in cash to the Bulls. So initial thoughts for all 3 teams, I guess. Kind of quickly we'll go over it just because I think it matters the least. But for the San Antonio Spurs, I don't mind this at all to go out and get a veteran that obviously his contract isn't the best, but you have a lot of money. By the time his contract's over, it's not going to matter too much. I think adding a veteran that Harrison Barnes is still a really good player in the NBA, still a really good addition to the team for the Spurs, so I do not mind them, kind of jumping in this deal. They don't really have to do much aside from just picking up Harrison Barnes. I don't mind that at all for that team, for the Spurs. But yeah, for obviously a lot bigger for the Kings as they're getting DeMar DeRozan, and then the Bulls as we kind of see it actually coming to an end. But yeah, for the Sacramento Kings, I like this move a lot, regardless of how it's going to fit with DeMar DeRozan. The reason I really like it is just because, that 2 years ago they had a really good year, kind of kept the same team last year and ran it back, and they didn't look that good. And it's mainly not because of the team being too bad. It's just the West is so good, and it's getting even better with, DeJounte Murray signing with the Pelicans, or getting traded to the Pelicans, I mean. Klay Thompson is signing with the Mavericks. There's just a lot of moves overall that are going on in the West. And if you look at the teams that made the playoffs last year, I mean, the only team that I really see getting worse that made the playoffs last year is the Clippers. I mean, the Nuggets got worse, but let's be honest, they're still going to be a playoff team. So the only team I could see dropping possibly out of the playoffs are the Clippers. And then if the Lakers don't make a move, maybe they do. But overall, like, the West is really, really hard. It's going to be a really, really hard conference to be good in. And if you want to stay alive and actually try to compete, you're going to have to make some bigger moves. So I really do like this for the Kings that they added, DeMar DeRozan. Just because I think more talent, regardless, on this roster is going to be a good thing. Obviously, the fit could be a little interesting, I think, just because, I don't know, it's always interesting wherever DeMar goes because he is a guy that, I mean, if you watch him play for the Bulls, Kobe White sometimes was literally cooking them, and then still, like, DeMar DeRozan loves to get the ball clutch time. Great clutch player, obviously, I understand it, but he does like having the ball a lot in clutch time. They also have De'Aaron Fox, who, has won a Clutch Player of the Year award when it was, like, a first becoming a thing. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting how it's going to work. But overall, I still think it's a really good, signing for them. They needed to make some type of move this offseason. And, there's a lot of rumors they were trying to get Zach LaVine, then Lauri Markkanen. There's just a whole bunch of names that they were in rumors to possibly try and get. So they finally got, a third piece, I guess, around Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. And I really like it. For the Bulls, this is just summing up what looks like a terrible offseason. Me liking the Bulls, and for any other actual Bulls fans, you probably want to cry right now. And it's not that, you're going into rebuild. It's cool you at least chose the direction. The problem is that if you look at everything they lost this free agency, the assets that they've gotten back is terrible. Like, we first have, Andre Drummond. Likely everyone kind of knew he probably would be going to a different team after he hits free agency. At the deadline, you possibly could have traded him for maybe just 2 second-round picks. It might not be too much, but you could at least maybe trade Andre Drummond at the trade deadline for like 2 second-round picks. And then, boom, whatever. He's already gone off your roster. You don't have to deal with it. You got some picks out of it, whatever. Instead, he leaves in free agency. He signs with the 76ers on a pretty cheap contract. I thought he would get more money. So it's not even like he left your team to get a big bag. You're just going to re-sign him. You lost him for a amount of money I think you definitely could have re-signed him for. I think he just didn't have the interest in playing there. Anyways, then we have Alex Caruso. There's a lot of rumors at the trade deadline. Could have got traded for 2 first-round picks to the Warriors. A whole bunch of different trade rumors about him going for multiple firsts, this and that. and then you end up trading him for Josh Giddey, which at the end of the day, I feel like Josh Giddey's not the worst, thing that you could have possibly got out of trading Alex Caruso. But like at the end of the day, you still could have got a lot more for him at the trade deadline, and you just wait and wait and wait, try to compete for a play-in spot really, and then you end up with literally just losing assets for a lot less of a price. And then we have Demar Derozan now, who, if you knew this was going to happen, if you wanted to just blow it up before, you could have got at least a first-round pick out of Demar Derozan if you traded him. Or at least a young player that comes to your team that, you at least like to really see. Chris Duarte, I'm sorry, no disrespect, but at this point of Chris Duarte's career, we already really know who he is. He might seem really young because he was drafted not too long ago, but he was like 24 when he got drafted, so I'm pretty sure he's like 26, 27 right now. He's not a young player you're getting that it's like, okay, we could develop around him. So you don't really get anything in this trade. 2 second-round picks is not much at all for DeMar DeRozan, so you basically are losing him for nothing. And if you, wanted this to happen, or you wanted to blow it up, you should have did it at the trade deadline. You could have traded him, got some assets out of it. Instead, you're really getting nothing but some second-round picks. It's just terrible management by this team. I don't know. And then even with the Zach LaVine stuff, his value was so much higher a few years ago. And you probably should have traded him then. And now, if you look at him now, his market is completely dead. His contract is one of the worst contracts in the league. He's getting paid a lot of money. And, he's not the same Zach LaVine, it looks like. He also just, I don't know. It's just a lot is with this team that it just makes no sense how they're managing this team. Especially in recent history, first round picks feel like they kind of get thrown around like nothing now. If you see a team going into a rebuild, you're going to see they're going to be okay, we're going to trade this player, go and get a good 4 or 5 first round picks out of nowhere you have added to your team if you're trying to rebuild. The Bulls are going into a rebuild essentially with, I think maybe they have a Trailblazers first round pick or something. But if we really take a look at their picks, they don't really have many picks aside from their own unless it's second round picks. And it's not like they're also been a team that's been too good at drafting recently. If you look at this team when it comes to drafting, the only thing that they've really developed is Kobe White. Majority of the guys that they've drafted have not panned out well until, Lauri Markkanen, he leaves the Bulls. Look at him now. He's an all-star that everyone wants right now. He's one of the top guys on the trade market. So, yeah, I don't know. This is obviously big for the Kings, but I think I just look at this more as the Bulls management makes no sense what they're doing. I genuinely think that a lot of people in the NBA world in terms of content creators and people who actually really know what they're talking about, a lot of them I actually genuinely think, and myself, I think could actually manage the Bulls better than they're being managed right now. I don't know, and I don't know how, the GM still has his job. I really don't. I actually have no clue. Because this is just bad management. We're gonna have to see what happens when they get rid of Zach LaVine, whether it's possibly even buying him out. There's rumors. Same with Lonzo, he might get bought out. So I don't know. This Bulls team is gonna look a lot different. So the only bright side I guess to it for the Bulls is at least you chose your direction. I didn't want them to bring DeMar back, but I thought for sure if they signed and traded him, they would at least get something. And you're not even getting Harrison Barnes back. You thought, okay, maybe they at least get Harrison Barnes. They can then flip him at the deadline, get something out of him. No, you're not even getting Harrison Barnes. You're literally getting Chris Duarte and 2 second-round picks and cash. So you're not really getting anything. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just whatever. But yeah, for the Kings, I do really like this. They do have to obviously keep themselves alive in the West, and it's going to be really hard. The West is a hard conference, so, it is going to be interesting. I feel bad at the same time for a lot of teams in the West if you're a fan of any Western Conference team, Because you could have a really good team next year, and your team might still not make the playoffs just because of how good the West is. And then you look at the East, and, after the top four of, like, the Knicks, the Bucks, the 76ers, and the Celtics, it's kind of just whatever. I'm not really scared of too many other teams in the, Eastern Conference. So, yeah, I don't know. Y'all let me know your thoughts on this trade. Or not, well, technically trade or signing, whatever you want to call it. Y'all can put a grade in the comments, whatever, anything like that. Y'all let me know how you feel about the Kings and the Bulls making this little move. And I guess for the Spurs, how you feel about it for the Spurs. Quickly went over it. Like I said, Harrison Barnes, I think, pretty good addition. But yeah, overall, I just more so question what the Bulls are doing. And then for the Kings, I love it for you guys. You go out, try to compete. Team hasn't been good historically, so yeah, go out and try to do something. I don't think you're winning the ring, but it's getting there. But yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.